an idea for an intro?
I don't know.
Oh,
Just
great.
try to keep it rolling without being awkward.
Okay.
Starting right about now.
Good spot.
Welcome back to Three Old Tech Dudes. Today we're going to talk about IT war stories.
Yay!
Woo.
Intro here.
Insert introduction.
Well, whatever Nathan thinks is good.
That's where our rock and theme music goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as
Time.
boop. Okay, that's a good idea.
Caesar over there?
He's setting up timer on wedding.
I'm setting up a timer. I've done the setup. It's still here.
There you go.
My water.
Isn't your screen going to turn off?
Turn.
Maybe it doesn't turn.
Guess it doesn't.
It's mean.
So, as all three of us have been in IT many years. I don't know how many years combined, but it's a bunch.
We don't need to.
We
We
have
don't need to figure out that number.
We don't want to know that.
we have some pretty spectacular, what I like to call war stories, that strange things we've seen over the years, computers exploding and burning, crazy people, and users are crazy. I mean, but
Lots and lots of crazy
it's
people.
bad. It's bad times. So
Oh my, yeah.
I'll kick this one off. In my first IT job, we were installing some new printers, brand new area at an undisclosed company in Bloomington that's very large and produces medical devices. And
We don't know who that would be.
Google, yeah.
Yeah.
We're setting up these cubicles, and well, the cubicles were set up, and we're installing these little Dell black and white printers. Pretty common thing. Little laser printers. Each person had one on their desk. They're all brand new. And I'm down there plugging them in, and the power strips in the back of the cubicles weren't connected well. And I'm trying to plug a printer in, and all of a sudden, another guy with me says, no, it wasn't another guy. It was the lady down there. She goes, "There's smoke coming out of this cubicle." And I pop up, and there's smoke rolling out of 3 cubicles. I go, "What is going on?" And I had been plugged that in, and it kicked the power on and off so many times that the halogen in it got so hot or whatever on the drum that they actually nearly caught fire. It destroyed all 3 printers. So thank goodness for Dell warranties. That's probably my first IT war story. So from the first year of my career.
Neat.
Oh,
What about you,
boy.
Nathan? What you got? You got one?
So I guess the one that I find the most fascinating, which I told you guys prior to starting on this, was that so MythBusters did an episode on the exploding CD where they spun it up and they had to use like this. They had what was it? Angle grinder to spin it up fast enough. I have actually seen that happen in a CD-ROM. It is extremely rare.
Wow.
But it did happen. It happened about 2002, I think it was, when we got like our first like 48X or whatever it was CD and put that in a guy's machine. And he had put in a disc, and I got a call from him later. He said, "Oh, by the way, this won't open." All of a sudden, I pulled the unit out to see what happened, and there's bits of CD in this thing. Totally exploded. I mean, I was like, wow, I didn't know that could happen. It seems a little on the dangerous side.
That's crazy.
But it did actually happen. That's rare. I've actually seen it one other time, about 10 years later, on a Dell machine. My cat's playing in the background. He's going to get himself in trouble. But, yeah, but it happened on a Dell machine. The original one was in a compact 575, which is actually...
Oh, wow.
I've got one laying over there.
See,
So-
I went to the schools where Nathan worked, and I remember these computers. I remember when they bought those. It was kind of a big deal. There was a PC in every classroom. So.
Oh, yeah. It was the
It was the first round,
Oh, yeah.
really. So.
And we had, and those things came with I want to say 2X. It wasn't, it was like, you talk about 95, 96 when we bought those things.
I was in 8th grade when they showed up, so I'd be right.
Yeah. We had replaced this one and it failed with a functioning one, new, I think it was, I want to say it was a 48X drive. The 52X weren't out yet, but they were really short, they were coming out quickly.
Sure.
But and it would just kaboom. It just, he said it made all kinds of noise. And it actually, it blew up in such a way that it jammed the entire mechanism. Cleaning it up though did actually work again, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
that was kind of
Do you have to take the whole drive apart?
Oh yeah,
More or
just
less, yeah.
assembled a little
The
bit
top
of
of
pieces, and
everything,
you're like, there's bits of CD everywhere, and you're like, what?
Those drives were still pretty pricey at the time, so it was worth it to try to save them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
'cause we were still paying. I want to say $75 or $80 a
Yeah.
drive. You know, now they're like,
15 or 20 of
now,
those.
you know, they're like, here, I have 20. Can you take 5? Because I
Yeah.
don't need 20. Yeah, it's the world of I want to get rid of it because there's too many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No doubt.
You got any?
So, when I first started my my IT career, I worked for a company, and the company they did this. Every company does this once, at least a smaller company. They hire somebody who's supposed to be quote an IT guy. They don't really have any experience, but they hire them cheap, and
Right,
so
right,
they're like,
right.
"Hey, great,
They interview well.
yeah."
They can't
Um,
walk the talk, talk the walk,
so
walk the walk.
Yeah.
it turned out this
No
guy, he knew nothing really about computers. He was he was not quite computer illiterate, but he didn't know what he was doing. So I worked
I know
with
where the
him.
power button's at.
Exactly.
Just reboot it, right?
So I
Yeah.
worked with him for about 2 weeks. There was about a 2 week overlap between them bringing me in and him leaving. So the idea was I was supposed to work with him and you know, kind of learn things, learn where things were, learn how he had things set up, and that kind of stuff. And we're going through, and they had this fairly new computer, and new for the time. And again, this is 2001-ish, 2002. Um,
That new i5.
yeah. So they had this computer sitting over there, and I was like, well, it looked new, but it wasn't being used. It was obvious that, I mean, it had stuff stacked on it and on the keyboard, and it wasn't being used. And so I asked him, well, what's the story with this computer? And he's like, oh, I can't get the network to work on that. I plugged it in, but it just don't work. So I spun it around and found that what he had done is he had taken the network cable, an RJ45, for those of you who don't know, that's what that's called. He had taken it, and this was when computers still came out with modems for your telephone. I don't know how hard he had to push to shove that bigger connector in there, but he got it. Was in about 3 pieces.
Hammer out.
It was in about 3 pieces, but he had managed to stuff that thing in there, and then couldn't figure out why it didn't work.
The redneck way, shaved down the outside of it with a knife.
Oh, it was, and he was their IT guy. He did not get that game when you were a little kid. You know, you have the pegs, the round peg, and you got to get it in the round hole. Well, he didn't have that game. So
I have a friend. His name's Scott. You guys have met him.
yeah,
KD9CON. Scott.
Yeah.
He was the Hammerfest bass player. You remember we were talking about playing bass. He once said on Facebook, I don't remember where he was working. He said, I don't understand these students coming. I think it's already up by you. I knew 25 years ago that you couldn't put a square peg in a round hole.
No
That stuck
kidding.
with me.
Oh, yeah. I got one other really good story that was it is during the construction rebuild of the high school, which happened from 03 to 06. Our data center didn't move. It stayed in the same actual physical room,
Mm-hmm.
but they had to have sprinklers. Now, let me explain something basic to everyone who may not know this. If you put water on top of a network server, it will fail to work and probably will catch fire. So there's no actual reason. There's no actual reason to put a sprinkler in the server room. You can put halon or CO2 systems. You can put a like a powder or a gas system, a non-water-based system in there. But the guy, the architect, insisted that we had to have sprinklers in the room. So they sprinklered the entire IT area. During the pressure test, guess which one leaked?
nice.
If I can find the video of this,
Yes.
I'll put it in now, but there's no guarantees I can find this because it's on one of my 10,000 hard drive videos. But I have video of this ridiculous
That's
thing.
spectacular.
I'm like, yeah, it was. The sprinkler head was about that far in front of the rack, and it's just perfect. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, really? Did you need to do that? Yeah, well, yeah. They said, oh yeah, we have to have this. I'm like, if the fire goes off in there, and you hose the room down, you might as well just let it burn because you've just destroyed it regardless. Whereas if you would have used CO2 or one of those, it probably would not have destroyed everything in the room.
It's true.
I had a similar story to that. In my time, I actually built an automation system for a closed circuit television station on a Navy base, and they decided to put this equipment in a basement where the main water main for the building came in. One day, over a weekend, that thing burst.
Of course
And-
it did. It was the weekend.
Yeah,
That's how that
so,
works.
System failure.
Monday morning they came in and there was like 3.5, 4 feet of water
Oh,
in
that's
the
all?
room. I mean, it was deep. And
Racks floating away.
so after they pumped all of the water
Meet
out, they
you at
had
the
me
door.
come in and they're like, see if there's anything salvageable. I mean, you walk down the stairs and it just smells like electronic death.
Oh.
God.
I think a DVD player and 2 VCRs was all that
That's
made
all
it
you got
out
out
of that
They
entire
were all like on
thing.
a shelf.
Like
all
the
that
whole
hard work washed
Yeah,
away.
the whole
Oh.
TV switcher system thing, that all died. It was awful. Yeah.
Yeah, that. Oh gosh. So like in the after they did this, did you go ahead and put like a moisture alarm that sounds like a collision alarm off a bat?
No, they actually did away with the entire project after that.
Oh.
So
There was no funds left. That's
no,
After blowing
That's how
millions of
Govy
dollars,
work
we
is.
decided
Yeah.
we can't.
yeah.
Oh gee.
But that was the saddest smell I'd
I
ever
imagine.
experienced.
When all the magic smoke gets away.
Yeah, you can't put that back in.
I don't care how hard you try.
Gosh.
Ah,
Yeah, that was a
Holy
fable.
cow.
One of the tech guys who has passed away now, but he was a friend of mine since I was in high school. But he was the electronics tech for the high school, not actually an IT person, but he
Mhm.
repaired everything that came on his desk.
Right.
He was the bench tech.
right.
Yeah, and he taught me a lot of great theories and stuff like that, like magic smoke.
Yeah.
That goes way back, but yeah, it was kind of funny. That predates me in college. It's one of those that I actually have the Altec Lansing box.
Oh,
came
nice.
From him. That is actually a variable resistor. This is a slide
Oh, that's
potentiometer, but there's no actual like slide elements in it. It literally is. It's switching from resistor to resistor.
Oh,
as you
wow.
Oh, that's cool.
It's pretty. It's an old piece. But yeah, he passed away. I kind of miss him, but he was funny because he was just kind of like the quintessential sarcastic person. Because he just walk in, what do you guys break now? You know.
So he'd have got along with all three of us.
Oh yeah.
I've never said that when I walk into a user's area.
Oh jeez. Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
I once visited Justin at work and I could feel the scorn just around him. It's like people walk in his office. What do you want? It's almost like
Nonsense. I'm IT friendly. That's what they call me.